back. Welcome back to another live feed, man. Thank you. Those gonna be tuning in real soon. This video is gonna be about the 1990-91 UNLV Running Rebels. I'm just specifically talking about the 91 team. Obviously, I started the season in 1990, but that 91 team, I gotta go with the 91 team, 1990-91 team of UNLV Running Rebels, but I'll put 1991 because that's when they lost, unfortunately, to Duke in the national semifinals. Um, that 90-91 team may have been the greatest ever, never to win a national championship. Make a case because that team was dominant, and the reason why I want to do this video because it's 35 years ago that 90-91 team lost. That 91 team lost to Duke. They were dominant. And this is a UNLV team that came off a dominant performance against Duke, winning 103-73. And the thing is that what made this turn different as far as the results concerned because of Grant Hill. Grant Hill was a true freshman. They obviously had great players, all obviously had Leighton, they had Bobby Hurley, but Grant Hill made the difference. And them getting over that hump because he was athletic. That's something that he just couldn't handle, the athleticism and the fast pace and the fast breaking ways of the Running Rebels. They ran up down the court. But they won 103-73. They put up 100 points, over 100 points in that championship game in college basketball. So that was something that was unheard of. So when you look at that performance last year, that made the year before, at that time in 1990, wow, Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, Greg Anthony, they had a lot of great talent. Stacey Augmon, Larry Johnson, Greg Anthony, and Anderson Hunt. Same squad actually came back the following year, and they were just as dominant. They didn't lose to nobody. They had like a 45-game winning streak. It was just dominant, a dominant team. And you're thinking that they was gonna do it again. I remember watching that. Me and my brother, we watched that on East 31st Street. I remember that vividly. We were stunned. It's like, man, that's the same year Mike Tyson lost Buster Douglas. So you had two of the biggest upsets in the world of sports at that time in 91, because in February you had an upset for the ages with Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson. That was a big upset. Nobody saw that coming. I mean, that was something that was just out of left field. With Mike Tyson losing, how dominant he was, nobody saw that coming. So then you go to March 30th, I believe, March 30th, 1991, the Final Four. UNLV Running Rebels versus Duke Blue Devils. The Blue Devils win. Give them credit. They won that game. 79-77. Crazy. And Anderson Hunt, hit that, try to, desperate three in the final seconds, bounced off the backboard into the hands of Bobby Hurley, and that was it. The 45-game win streak was over. Thanks for the two people that hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, if you're new to the channel. And that was it, man. I remember that. Me and my brother, we wasn't even UNLV fans, but we wasn't into Duke, at that time. I'm saying that was a period of time where Duke just couldn't get over that hump. They was always in the big games and playing in, Final Fours and get bounced out. Because I remember '86, '86 they lost to Louisville in that championship game. Then they lost in the semifinals, I think it was. National semifinals to I think Seton Hall. They lost. They was in '89 Final Four, and then in '91 they finally get to the Final Four again after getting it there in '90, and then they finally, that was like 3 straight years they was in the Final Four. Duke. So that's how great Duke was, but they couldn't ever get over that hump until that the '91 team. Duke did what they had to do, and they won the national championship. Give them credit, but that was just a shocker, man. And obviously, Duke will go on to win national championship 72-65 against Kansas. That was just a crazy, year, crazy result, man. Because a lot of people thought that no way Duke was gonna beat UNLV second time around. But Grant Hill, I think that was the difference. I think his athleticism and what he brought to the table, I think, was a game changer because They didn't have him the previous year. And I think when you get a guy like that, a true freshman, handling his business like that, you gotta tip your cap. You know, that's just the way it was at that time. You know, for them to win that game, Duke, and then win back to back national championships. Because at that time, UNLV was trying to do something that had not been done since the 73 UCLA Bruins team, the 72 73 UCLA Bruins team. They had one back to back. So it looked like it was going to be a shoe in that UNLV was going to win it all again. Then Duke goes back to back. They win in 92. They won in 91. They beat the Fat Five. You know, Chris Webber and Jimmy King. You know, Juwan Howard. Ray Jackson. I think Ray Jackson. Yeah, Ray Jackson. That was Jalen Rose. So that was just crazy, man, to see that happen. Like, they ain't supposed to win back-to-back national championship. That was supposed to have been UNLV. UNLV should have won that championship back-to-back. But give credit to Duke. They did what they had to do. They won it. That was just a shocker at that time. To see some of that magnitude happen. Thanks for the 4 people hitting the like button. Appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Yeah, it was just amazing upset, man. A 45-game winning streak, day back to the previous season, and you lose. And they were undefeated. They were the last team to finish the regular season unbeaten before St. Joseph did it in 2004. Also, that UNLV team in 91 were also the only team since Indiana State in that announced NCAA tournament after completing a perfect regular season. We ended postseason and conference title to Wichita State did it 2014. This is how great this team was. This team was 34-1. They hadn't lost to nobody. Now they didn't play in the great conference, the Big West Conference. That's the thing you gotta take into account with UNLV. That Big West Conference was not a great conference. They played, New Mexico State was ranked number 15 in the country. But when you look at these other teams, they were not that good. Pacific was 14-15. UC Santa Barbara was 14-15. Utah State was 11-17. Cal State Fullerton, a 500 team, 14-14. Fresno State was 14-16. Long Beach State was 11-17. UC Irvine was 11-19, and San Jose State was 7-20. I'll say that a 45-game winning streak. And that is the 4th longest consecutive game win streak in NCAA Division I basketball history, and the longest win streak since the longest one ever by UCLA ended in 1974. And they often call it the greatest college basketball team not to win a championship. I think you gotta make the case of that. With Larry Johnson and the stuff that he was doing, Anderson Hunt, Elmore Spencer, Stacey Augmon, George Ackles, Greg Anthony, this team was loaded. This team was dominating teams. Let's look at the regular season that they had, that standout games. Like, for example, Michigan State. They beat Michigan State, went to 21 in the country. They beat them. I think they had Steve Smith on that team. Yeah, Steve Smith was on that team. He was a big-time player coming out of Michigan State. Had a pretty good career, not Hall of Fame, but he was pretty good. They were number 21 in the country. They beat them by 20 points. That was on the neutral court at the Auburn Hills, where the Pistons used to play at. And then they beat number 25 Princeton by a score of 69-35. But again, that conference wasn't a great conference. That's the thing about UNLV. They were great. They could beat anybody. But they handled their business. And they handled their business against Arkansas. They go 20-0. They win that game. Stacey Augmon had 31 points. Yeah, 31 points. They won 112-105. Number 1 versus number 2. Against Arkansas. Arkansas, that's the team that had Todd Day, Lee Mayberry, guys like that. I don't know when Winston coaching that team. Very talented team on that roster. Yeah, Todd Day, Lee Mayberry, Oliver Miller. Big time team. Beat them by 7 points. They beat New Mexico State by 12 points, 86-74. They beat them again. Because again, that's the thing. That conference just not a great conference. Now their path to for they played Duke was on March 30th, 1991. They beat Seton Hall by 12 points. They beat Georgetown by 8 points. They blew out Montana 99-65. Beat Utah 83-66. But again, losing to Duke, that was just a shocking result. This is a great team, man. This team was great. I mean, they had three first rounders drafted in the 91 draft. Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon. Larry Johnson went to Charlotte Hornets. Stacey Augmon went to the Atlanta Hawks. Great Anthony went to the Knicks. In the second round, George Ackles was drafted with Miami Heat. 92, Elmo Spencer was drafted by the Clippers. But Larry Johnson, man, he's one of those guys that you felt should have been an all-time great player. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He's a collegiate basketball Hall of Fame, but he's not in the Naismith Hall of Fame. He only went to the All-Star game twice. He had a lot of injury to his back. He was great, man. This guy was doing his thing. He was an all-time great, player coming out UNLV. You thought he was going to be one of the all-time greats, but he didn't have that great of a career. He played with the Hornets, played with the Knicks. Second team All-NBA Rookie of the Year. He's off to a great start. It's just that the injuries, hurt him. That's the thing that hurt him. He got to a great start in his career, playing with Lonzo Mourning, Curry, Muggsy Bogues, man. Charlotte Hornets was a big time team back in the early '90s, man. At that time, he's averaged 20 and 10, very explosive. But the back injuries just hurt him. Even when he came to the Knicks, he's pretty good. He's still doing his thing. He's shooting threes. He's known for that 4-point play against the Pacers in that conference finals in Game 3, stuff like that. But like I said, the back problems, man, just was too much for him to handle. So he wasn't a great player as we expected him to be. Because he averaged 16.2 points per game, 7.5 rebounds a game, 3.3 assists a game. But not in the Hall of Fame. He's in Collegiate Hall of Fame, but not the Naismith Hall of Fame. He's not in that. No, he wasn't that great of a player that he should have been. He said the injuries. Then you look at Stacey Augmon. He should have been a great player, man. He should have been an all-time great player. Very talented. But he was a journeyman, man. He played with Atlanta, Detroit, Portland, Charlotte, the Hornets of New Orleans, and Orlando Magic. He's currently coaching. He's a player development guy, Sacramento Kings. But he did not have a great career. He only averaged 8 points a game. I mean, he's on the all-rookie team. That's the only accolade he got from his career. You think about, man, what happened? He should have been an all-time great player. He's a top 10 pick in the draft. Things just didn't work out for him, unfortunately. So that's it, man. I wanted to talk about that UNLV team from 1991. They had a 45-game winning streak, ended by Duke. Blue Devils, again, led by Grant Hill, actually Christian Laettner, and Bobby Hurley and those guys. But the thing is, man, Bobby Hurley and that Duke team with Chris Laettner, they got a huge boost with Grant Hill. He definitely made the difference as a true freshman. Not against anybody else, but he's the guy that made the difference. After losing by 30 points, 103-73 in 1990, that true freshman Grant Hill, he's the guy who will go into Hall of Fame, obviously. Quite sure he is in the Naismith Hall of Fame. Yes, he is. He's a collegiate, but definitely in the Naismith Hall of Famer. Well, all-time greats, man. The college and in the pros. I mean, he could have been even more better than he was, Grant Hill. But I just think that if he would have been more healthy, and he would have been even regarded as one of the greats ever. Just had those injuries and stuff like that, He was in the Naismith Hall of Fame, like we saw. Because he's one of the top players, man, when he's with the Pistons, Grant Hill. Yeah, but Grant Hill made a difference, man. None against Christian Laettner, none against Bobby Hurley. But I think, without question, Grant Hill made a difference. He turned that program around even more with his presence, with his athleticism, everything that he brought to the table. Man, I think that definitely put them over the top. Because the thing about Duke, they were going to the championship games at times in '86 and '90, but they lost. They were they were going to the Final Four, '88, '89, '90, but they lost until '91. They finally got over that hump. But the Grant Hill had with Hurley and Leighton made them even tough to deal with. I think that's why they won that championship, because of him. Simple as that. So that's it for today. I may do another live feed maybe at 7:30, maybe sometime this evening. But thanks for all those who tuned in. Still got people tuning in right now. Appreciate it. Hit the like button. 4 people did it. Got 15 people still tuning in. Appreciate it. Like I said, man, this is a great team. The greatest team, maybe not to win national championship, man. Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, Greg Anthony, George Ackles. I mean, that team was just loaded, man. That team was just a great team. Elmore Spencer. They win that championship. And then think about UNLV 35 years later. They're not a big deal no more like they was back then. They were really like a national team because of how they played the game, their style of play, their swagger. There's something about them, the running rebels. I'm saying they had a great open window of being so great at that time under Jerry Tarkanian. Jerry Tarkanian. I think I'm saying his last name right. Tarkanian. Jerry Tarkanian. And they was definitely a team that was must-see TV. You had Isaiah Ryder. He was doing his thing, Isaiah Ryder, and you had Sean Marion. But UNLV, you gotta be a certain age to remember UNLV. When you watched them, you knew you was watching something special. They were big time for college basketball. But they fell off. Like, they fell off the map. You don't hear nothing about UNLV basketball like you used to. And it's not a big deal. I'm saying at that time it was just they were the it. And the thing that's disappointing about that 1991 UNLV team that lost to Duke is that they failed to win back-to-back national championships. Okay, got 5 people hitting the like button. Thank you. They subscribe to the channel. They didn't repeat as champions. Instead, Duke, give them credit, they repeated as champions. Again, Grant Hill made the difference. Yes, you had Christian Laettner, great player, Christian Laettner. Yes, Bobby Hurley was great. But without Grant Hill, they don't win those 2 championships back to back. They don't do it. Unless they got Grant Hill. Grant Hill turned that program and got them over the hump to win national championships because of him. He made the difference. I ain't taking nothing away from Laettner. Laettner was great. One of the top 5 greatest players I think I've seen in my lifetime for us college basketball. But that Grant Hill dude, I mean, he put them over the hump. Grant Hill. No question about it. Grant Hill was the guy, man. He put that team over the hump to win those championships. They went back-to-back to beat Kansas and Michigan, the Fab 5. And I used to credit them. That's the thing that's disappointing about the 91 UNLV team, because they could have been the first team since '73 at that time when USLA won the championship back-to-back, consecutive championships. At the time, they could have been the team to do it since then, that team at the time, UCLA. And they failed to do it. Getting upset by Duke 79-77 on March 30th, 1991. So that's it for this live feed. Thanks for all those who tuned in. Thanks for all the support, man. Hit the like button. I see it, 5 people. Hit the like button and like I said, subscribe to the channel. Deeply appreciate it. Helps the channel better. Best content is coming. Appreciate you. Until then, talk to you soon.